Hi there, my name is Aoife McDonald. I'm a registered dietitian and founder of the Digestive Health Clinic. So I'm delighted to be doing a video today as part of the Healthy Ireland programme with Limerick Libraries to talk about nutrition for gut health. So just to start off with, what is the gut? So this is always important to consider before we start talking about gut health in more detail and how we can actually look after the gut. So the gut basically refers to our digestive system or gastrointestinal or GI tract. So this goes from the mouth all the way to the end, and it is involved in digestion and absorption of nutrients from our food and also the elimination of waste from food that may be left over. So when it comes to the health of the gut, it's important to, if you have any concerns, always speak to your GP about any new digestive symptoms that you might have. But generally, when we refer to gut health, we're referring to a functioning gut that is able to digest and absorb the nutrients from our food well, and the absence of any uncomfortable symptoms such as excessive bloating, wind, or differences in bowel habits, whether that be constipation or diarrhea. So always get this looked into if you do have any issues with it. So when it comes to nutrition and gut health, the main thing that we tend to talk about are the fibres in our diet, and also things like prebiotics and probiotics, which I'll speak about in a moment. But just to get started with fibre, typically in Ireland, around 80% of adults don't eat enough fibre. So the majority of us could do with increasing the amount of fibre in our diet. So what actually is fibre and where can we get it from? So fibre is basically part of the structure of all our different plant foods. And there's typically 6 different types of plant foods in our diets, namely fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and then legumes, so things like chickpeas, beans, and lentils. So typically the more of these types of foods or these types of plant-based foods we eat, the more fibre that we're naturally going to be eating. So when it comes to increasing your fibre intake, we're going to be looking at increasing your intake of these types of foods. So fibre, of course, is not only good for gut health, but also can reduce your risk of certain conditions, whether that be obesity or type 2 diabetes. So really important to try to up our fibre intake as much as possible and to our individual tolerance level. So in terms of fibre, we always recommend that you increase your fibre intake very slowly. We should be aiming for between 25 and 35 grams of fibre per day, so on average around 30 grams, and we should be getting that from a variety of sources. So as well as increasing your fibre intake slowly, it's really important with a higher fibre diet that you are drinking plenty of fluids. So fibre and fluid work together, so we want to ensure that you're drinking enough fluid before you go about increasing your fibre intake. And like I said, increase your fibre intake slowly to give your gut a bit of time to adapt. So then in terms of kind of tips for increasing your fibre intake, so an easy way to increase your fibre intake is to look at your different meals and, for example, your breakfast cereal. So many breakfast cereals can be quite low in fibre, so even take a look at your usual breakfast cereal, see how much fibre is in the bowl, and you might be surprised at how little there might be in there. So we'd always recommend opting for higher fibre cereals in the morning. A high fibre cereal would be one that has 6 grams of more of fibre per 100 grams, or be considered a source of fibre if it has 3 grams or more per 100 grams. So aim to have a breakfast cereal that has at least 3 grams per 100 grams in it. Then as well, ensuring that you are optimizing each of your meals and your snacks when it comes to the fibre. So ensuring that maybe you add in, some seeds or some nuts, or in your dinner, for example, you're looking at adding in high fibre things like high fibre grains, whether that be potatoes with the skins on, brown rice, quinoa, brown pasta, things like that. Or even introducing things like chickpeas and lentils into your meals can really help to increase your fibre intake. So just before I finish off, I just wanted to touch on prebiotics and probiotics. So a lot of fibres also have prebiotic properties, meaning that they feed the bacteria living in your gut. So they feed the good bacteria living in your gut, which is a positive thing. So we should be trying to eat more plant foods because naturally that's going to help us to increase the prebiotics in our diets as well. And finally, probiotics, we can get live cultures from different foods as well, whether that be kind of yogurt, live yogurt, which has bacteria added in, or things like fermented drinks like kefir or kombucha. or things like sauerkraut as well. Another thing to kind of mention, I guess, is probiotics in terms of the capsules. So for most people, these are probably not necessary. I'd always recommend trying to increase the fiber and the prebiotics in your diet first. But if you are interested in speaking to someone about probiotic supplements, make sure to get advice first to ensure you're getting one that is specific to your needs.